What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Two for Two podcast, your sports podcast for the culture by the voices of the culture. I'm your host, Quis, and I'm here with my boy Nell, as always. And we got a pretty good episode for you coming today. We got episode 13 of season 3, man. We're gonna touch on the NFL. Week 8, we got some big things to talk about in the NBA world, and then we're gonna do our week 9 preview like we always do. So stick with us, enjoy. Like I said, season 3, episode 13. Let's get it. Nell, you sixed it out again, brother. I see you excited. You know what I'm saying? He sixed it out again. Must mean something is brewing over there in Philly. Must be the Embiid trade on the way to New
Yeah,
York. You know, I don't know what it is, but how
keep
you feeling?
dreaming.
How you feeling now?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. James Harden, cancer is out the locker room, so we can just focus on the season now. Pretty good, man.
Have on the Harden jersey today.
Say that again.
Is that the Harden jersey today?
Don't ever disrespect me like
You
that, man.
gonna burn the Harden jersey on the pod? That's the way to start the pod. Is that
Maxi jersey. Yes, sir.
Maxi's balling, bro? I give you that. I'll let you have that for right now.
Yeah, look, I'll tell you a story. I was at James Harden's first home game as a Sixer. Got there early because they was gonna have the jerseys. I was like, I gotta get me that Uno with the Harden on the back. I had to get that. So I get there. As soon as I get in the store, they like it's one left in my size. They hold it up. Somebody snatched that jump before I could get there, and I was sick. But
The writing was on the wall right there.
God works in mysterious ways. Like he like you said, the writing was on the wall. He knew it was coming. So I'm glad I ain't make that purchase for that Harden jersey.
Hey, you knew he won't go stay long. You know, I guess you thought you were gonna get a little championship out of him, but
Like at first 3 games, that was a honeymoon period, boy.
hey man, he gave y'all a nice playoff send off. He had a couple 40 balls last year. It was like what did he had like what 40, then like 18, then 40. I mean, hey, we already on the topic, man. So let's go ahead and just dive right into it. The James Harden is no longer a Philadelphia 76er. He has finally been moved, like Nell prefaced. The James Harden era is over. Trade to the Clippers featuring him, PJ Tucker, and who you said Philip with an F.
Philip with an F.
With an F. Okay. For Robert Covington, Marcus Morris, Batum, and then a bevy of draft picks. Snell, you are our certified Sixers fan here. We know how you feel about James Harden. We know how you feel about Maxey and Embiid, all of that. But overall, how do you feel about the trade? How do you feel about the haul? Do you think y'all got fleeced? On the wall earlier, he felt like y'all got fleeced. You know, me and you talked a little bit before we got going. So go ahead now. How do you feel about this trade, or how you think it impacts y'all moving forward, y'all's trajectory on the season? You know, you said y'all weren't a contender at the beginning of the season. We're a couple games in now. We got this trade. How you feeling? Go ahead. Let it all out.
Yeah, I think it's understandable, for people to feel like we got fleeced in this deal. Me personally, I just thought, a deal had to be made. It was going to happen. We were never going to get equal value for James Harden. Norman Powell, Terrence Mann, those would have been great players to get, but nobody else really wanted Harden. Clippers were the only team he wanted to go to. So, I mean, when you have those variables and him being a free agent next at the this coming summer, uh, you just knew that a bad deal was coming. Like we've seen superstars, get traded for less. The Dame deal was nothing crazy to me. We've seen a lot of the Kevin Durant deal. We've seen superstars get traded for bags of chips. So I think like you said, we got a bunch of picks now, so I think that gives us some flexibility. I think the Sixers are going to have like the second or third most cap space, projected next summer. So, it gives us some things to do, maybe trade for, make a move. They got plenty of players and picks now to, possibly make a move at the deadline to get better, see who's available then. Like you said, my outlook hasn't really changed. Boston and Milwaukee, those are still the two teams that you got to get past to get to the finals, and the Sixers just don't have enough talent. They've 2-1, they look solid their first couple of games, but they just don't have enough talent in the playoffs to, I think match those two teams in the East. But you got something for Harden, and you just had to get him out the locker room. So we got some solid wings. I think this is probably the most depth that the Sixers have had in the Embiid era. And now they just got to find a way to get another star to kind of match Boston and Milwaukee. Maxi's looking crazy this year, but I don't know if him and Embiid can be enough against Giannis, Dane, Drew, and Tatum, and Jaylen Brown, Kristaps. So still got work to do to get back in the title contention.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing was, like you said, getting rid of James Harden. I mean, he didn't want to be there. Simple as that. You get something out of it. I like kind of what you said. It looks like, to me, the deal, it looks like it's kind of positioning you all to make moves or whatever. Like I said, you signed three and D guys essentially. And they're guys that are popular around the league. I mean, you can always move Rocco at some point in a trade. Teams are always going to look for big athletic wings that can shoot the ball. And that's what you got. You got Rocco, Marcus Morris, Batum, he's getting older, but he still is what he is. And those are guys that, if you, in a long season, you can throw them on different guys, get different looks. It'll help y'all's perimeter defense on the wings, especially, like you said, the East. You got to go against a Giannis. You got to go against Jason Tatum. You got to go against Jaylen Brown. You got to go against Julius Randle. You got to go against Jimmy Butler. Don't do that. But the
I'm
point,
with you on the Jimmy Butler.
huh?
I'm with you on the Jimmy Butler.
Oh, okay, man. Julius, I'm telling you, that Sixers jersey gonna go crazy. But ultimately, you got three guys now that you can rotate in and out, or move off of. It'll be another team. Maybe say the Sixers go on, and y'all are like, okay, we're just not a contender. Who can we send one of these guys to? And Marcus Morris gets shipped every year, it seems. Batum gets shipped every couple years, it seems. So you got some guys, and like you said, you got picks, which are, there's some teams out there that love to hoard picks. I think y'all will use y'all's to try to go out and get another star. But ultimately, you win the deal by getting rid of somebody that didn't want to be there. It's nothing like having a guy that's just either not practicing or just sitting on the sidelines, just causing a bunch of extra media circus. And he's not
he clearly didn't want to play. So
right. And he's probably not in shape. Like we see this with James Harden so often. It seemed, he goes somewhere, it's all great. Like, this is where I wanted to be. This is where I wanted to be. Things go left. And then he just goes somewhere else. I outlook for them with the Clippers. I think it helps the Clippers team a little bit. You add a guy that he's a MVP. Granted, he's on the backside of his career. But you put him with Russell Westbrook, you put him with Paul George, Kawhi Leonard. It gives the Clippers some flexibility. Ty Lue now, he can do some lineups where he throws maybe Russ and Paul George out there, and then you got a stagger lineup featuring James Harden and Kawhi or something. And you might see lines with all four of them in with a Zubac or I don't know the other bigs slipping my mind right now, but it gives us some lineup flexibility. I saw someone on Twitter that was saying this ain't 2K13, but at the end of the day, like you said, James Harden had to force his hand. The Clippers in a weird spot, right? Like, you got a guy that can win you a championship, maybe, in Kawhi, depending on how healthy he is. Paul George, same thing. Russ has a chip on his shoulder. Harden has a chip on his shoulder now, hopefully. And we'll see where it goes for the West. Do you think that moves the needle for the Clippers at all now?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think James Harden, I'm not too upset that we had to move on from James Harden just because, I don't think he really plays championship basketball. He loves to play one-on-one too much. I mean, sources say him and Doc got into it, just because the style of play. Stephen A. saying he wanted to go back to Houston and possibly show that he can be a scoring champion again. He'll for sure be the third option with the Clippers. So we'll see how he meshes in. When he's healthy and he's playing, he's still pretty good. 20 and 10 last year. He still can put up all-star numbers. So I think the Clippers still already had a possible championship roster. Like you said, when Kawhi's healthy, like you're going to be in the championship picture because like he showed in those couple of games that he played in Phoenix, like he can go toe to toe with the best and look like the best player on the court any given night. So, they definitely have a chance if things go right. But, with James Harden, I just don't expect it to. Him and Russ couldn't figure it out, when they were both, still kind of in their primes in
Yeah.
Houston that one year. So, we'll kind of see how that works. Like, does Russ's role get diminished with Harden there, and kind of how that all vibes out, because Russ has been, he's not OKC Russ, but he's been playing pretty good and looks like he carved out a nice role for them. The Clippers didn't want to give up any guards, so what's that rotation going to look like now? With Norman Powell and Terrence Mann. So we'll see how it goes. But I just expect it to go wrong, because that's what happens when James Harden's on your team.
Yeah, I think they did add. I think looking at their roster now, they have Bones Highland as well, don't they?
No, he's in Denver.
Oh, he's in Denver.
No, you're right. They do got Bones.
Denver shipped him
Yeah,
to.
yeah,
See, I
yeah.
was thinking too. Like, I know he went to one. I mean, you got a
Yeah,
lot
so
of like
they
you
didn't
got
want to
Bones
trade any
Highland,
guards to us,
you got
but
Russell Westbrook, you got James Harden, you got Norman Powell. Like those are four like offensive minded guards, right? Fortunately, you have two very good wings in Paul George and Kawhi that also play defense. But I
you
mean, you
got
got
PJ Tucker now too.
you add PJ Tucker, you still got Zubac. I mean, they have enough. You think about it, like I think what they know is like Kawhi is going to miss games, right? Like Paul George is going to miss games. So you get enough guards that can, James will play. He might look out of shape for a month. You never know, depending on how he's feeling. But he'll play. He'll be able to carry you through some wins. You got guys like Norman Powell and Bones Highland off the bench. Hopefully they can help get you some wins in playoff time. They're deep enough at the guard position offensively to score the ball. I think there'll be a lot more up tempo. But like you said, the style of play is going to be big. Can Ty Lue get the most out of James Harden? That'll be yet to be seen. I mean, Ty Lue's known as being a player's coach. I mean, he's played in the league, played point guard in the league. A lot of respect from him from every player that I think we've ever seen him coach. So if anybody's going to be able to get it out of James Harden, maybe Ty Lue. But like we said, he's on the back end of his career. This is team 4, 5 maybe. Like what's he got left? How much does he care? What's his love for the game? I'll never question the guy's love for the game, but like eventually it gets to the point like, okay, like what's he really trying to do? Is he just trying to make a couple dollars, or is he really trying to play basketball and win a championship? At the end of the day, that's Kawhi Leonard's team, and Kawhi Leonard and Paul George both will look at James Harden and be like, bro, what's up? You know what I'm saying? You can go sit. Russ too. So we'll see. That is yet to be seen. The trade market looks like it's heating up. I mean, we also touched on it a little bit before. Zach LaVine appears like he might be getting moves soon. Both the Knicks and the Sixers are on that short list of teams that are in the running. So Nell said it to me, but the pod is going to be on fire whenever that decision happens. So hopefully, for
Zach
my
LaVine,
sake,
you are a Sixer.
you don't want to do that. You want to come play for the Knicks. So that's that in the NBA news, man. Have you any takes on the Sixers so far? What are y'all 3 games in now? How you
Yeah,
feeling?
a little 2-1. Some teams can't win on a back to back, but Sixers were
Yo,
able.
hey, no, man.
Sixers, Sixers were able to
Yo
overcome
is
the early
crazy.
season back to back.
Y'all played the Blazers.
Like I said, man,
Mel is excited about a back to back where his
I didn't.
MVP, the
I
MVP
just
was
said we.
gonna
I just said
rest.
we. I just said we were able to overcome it. I didn't say anything about excitement. I'm just saying we were able to overcome that early season back to back. They thought about resting Embiid. He ended up playing, but
Had a good game though.
they've looked impressive. Maxi looks amazing. I told you possibly All-Star season. Now I think he looks like that guy this coming season. We'll see if he can keep it up for the full season. With James Harden being out now, it's for sure he's going to be running things for the rest of the year. So it looks good, but Boston and Milwaukee, they, especially Boston. Boston looks really good. So I'm not expecting much in terms of winning a championship, but I've enjoyed the brand of basketball that they've been playing. A lot of guys moving, cutting. It's just been fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean that's reasonable. The Celtics, like you said, they look like far and away the best team in the league right now. The Bucks with Dame, they're trying to figure it out. I mean, they'll be fine, of course, but yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, and
But it's really
I'm
impressive.
happy Dame has 0 points after what he did to my Sixers. He deserved that.
Yeah, it was pretty ugly. That was a pretty ugly game for y'all. Uh,
It's nasty work by the referees, but you know,
hey man, my Knicks are 1-2. Had a tough schedule, man. 3 games in 4 days, bro.
it's tough. Yeah, like I said, some teams just can't
Some teams aren't built for it, and my Knicks
aren't
clearly
built for
not.
back to backs. Yeah,
I'm gonna just say it, bro. I want Julius Randle to take him and his Skechers somewhere else, bro. I think right now he's I don't know if he's had a good shooting night yet. I think he might be shooting like 25. Let me see. Let me pull that up. Julius Randle as of now is averaging 13.7 points a game, 11 rebounds and 6.7 assists while shooting a whopping 27% from the field.
yikes. Hey man, it's still early. It's early, like you said.
Yeah, early enough to ship him. Early enough to ship him. So, hey, I don't know. I mean, good to see him rebounding the ball. Good to see he's trying to be a more of a distributor, but I mean, 27% just ain't gonna cut it for a guy that, is a fringe all-star. I know I've said this is Jalen Brunson's team. I think it's Jalen Brunson's team full and well, but I mean, it's supposed to be our second
That's why the
option.
Knicks will always be the Knicks
What does that mean?
because it's
You know
you
who
got
looks good actually? RJ Barrett looks really good. And I think it's possible because he's leading us in points. What we could be doing is tanking Julius Randle's stock so we can ship RJ to the Sixers.
but
Give us one of them wings and
oh,
Embiid.
you want
We'll take Embiid.
Covington and Batum for
No, we'll take Embiid and Covington. We'll give you RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, um, and Mitchell Robinson. And you give us Joel Embiid and whatever else.
you can take that to go.
All right, we're gonna take that one to go. NFL Week 8, man. I can't wait. I can't wait. We had some interesting games, man. Shout out to the Chiefs. They messed up my pick 'em for the week, man. They got a tough loss, not even a
Good
tough, a
job.
bad loss against the Denver Broncos. Russell Wilson, man, 16 touchdowns, 4 picks so far this year, quietly having a decent season. Besides the fact that the Broncos offense is stuck in 2010. But yeah, the Chiefs tough loss, man. Pat Mahomes was a little sick, had the flu. But now something that we want to talk about today is how much stock do you put in when a contender like the Chiefs or any other contending teams in the NFL lose to bad teams? Is this something where it's like it just happens, or how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I think it's just part of the NFL grind. Like any given Sunday, I believe that wholeheartedly. Like anybody can lose any Sunday. It just happens. Like sometimes you just don't always bring your best, and it's very much possible the Chiefs. Were just overlooking the Broncos, but it doesn't change my opinion, on the Chiefs, and we'll have these, the media will have these segments about, are you worried about the Chiefs? You still think they can get to the Super Bowl? I mean, as long as you got Patrick Mahomes, you got a chance to get to the Super Bowl. Same thing with the Bills. They lost to the Pats and the Jets, but I still think at the end of the day, if they're playing good football in December going into the playoffs, they got a good chance. You look at the Bengals; everyone pretty much wrote them off at the start of the season. Even me, I jumped ship on my Super Bowl team, and
They've been
look
right.
at them
They've been good ever since.
3 in a row. Burrow's looking healthy, and now they're going crazy. Uh, you know, Ravens lost to the Colts earlier this year. Like it just happens. It's football. The key is just who's the best team. Who's playing the best at the end of the year and who's most healthy. Like that's what it comes down to. And at the end of the day, you can't really predict that in week 8. Week 8, week 9. You got to wait till December, January to kind of see how things play out. Who's going to be healthy? Who's playing the best football at that time? So that's when I start really thinking about predictions and things like that. It's hard for me to kind of try to predict early in the season because things like this happen. Eagles lost to the Jets, and everyone was killing Hurts with the turnovers, and now look at them. best record NFC. Easily looks like they're going to go back to the Super Bowl this year. So some of these losses, they just happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right with you. It's one of those things where for me, like, it kind of matters how you lose, like how it looks. Like, is it a trend
Yeah, I
that's
feel that.
flipping? Like, is Pat Mahomes gonna play like that every week? No. Like, more often than not, like, Pat Mahomes is gonna play lights out. I mean, even with as bad as he played, like, they still had multiple chances. I mean, you had Sky Moore dropping a touchdown. Um, he was a little sick, different things like that. Like, some teams, like, for example, even with the Eagles, like, when they lose, it's like, okay, were they just like, if the Eagles go get steamrolled by like the Patriots or the Bears, you like, what happened? Like, was it, did Hurts turn the ball over some, or what, did the scheme look bad? Was the play calling bad? Like, who was hurt? Like, all those things kind of play a role. But like you said, I mean, we're going into week 9. I mean, it's still a lot of football left. I mean, teams, I think what the top teams in the AFC, I think the division leaders, all of them are what, 6-2? Yeah,
Yep.
Dolphins are 6-2, Ravens are 6-2, Jags 6-2, Chiefs 6-2. I mean, there and yeah, and like on the Chiefs' perspective, I mean, the next best team is 3-4, and they're the Chargers. Like, and you got to go play the Chiefs again. 9 times out of 10, the Broncos play the Chiefs. That's gonna be an L. I mean, you know, much respect to the Broncos for getting a win, but like we said, it's a grinded out league. It's the NFL is the game of inches, literally. Like, an inch on any play can be the difference in a touchdown and a fumble, a touchdown, and a game saving sack. So it's not one of those things, man. I think for me, man, the contenders in the NFL right now are very, like, who it is. I mean, the Chiefs are up there, the Eagles are up there. Right now the Ravens look really, really good. The Dolphins are, kind of yet to be determined, but they're a team that, I mean, they can contend. They have enough talent. I mean, Jalen Ramsey came back, caught a pick first game, just a lot out there. So, it'll come down to how teams look in December, just like you said. And I mean, it also come down to matchups as well. So a lot of people forget, like, some teams just match up better against other teams. You could be the worst team in the NFL, but if for whatever reason, like, your scheme is just very, like, is perfect to go against the Chiefs team, or if you have like great corners and a terrible, what I'm saying, defensive line or something, and you're able to stop the pass, but you're like, okay, we'll give up ground to Pacheco, and then it's a close game. I mean, maybe like sometimes that kind of stuff just happens. But at the end of the day, I'm not going. We already said I'm never going to sleep on Pat Mahomes. I'm not going to sleep on really. I'm not going to sleep on Jalen Hurts in a big game. I'm not going to sleep on Mahomes. I'm not going to sleep on Lamar in any games that he's in. You know what I'm saying? So um it'll be determined. I'm not too worried about really any of the contenders if they lose to a bad team. I like to see how teams look against really good teams. That's why, like we said, the Dolphins are kind of like, okay, every time you play a good team, you don't win. Every time you play a bad team, you play well. Like, what's going on? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
that's a worthy trend to look at.
yeah, I mean, it's like my Bucks. We ain't beat nobody good.
You won't see the Patriots in the playoffs, so you drop the
Right.
game to them.
It doesn't matter. It
Oh
doesn't matter.
well.
It doesn't
But
matter. It is what.
like the Cowboys, they're a good team, but when I see them matched up against other playoff teams, I'm like,
It's like because that's what you're gonna evaluate. You're like, all
that's
right,
what
Dak,
you're gonna see. That's what you're gonna see
right. Like,
when
I don't
when
care if
when
Dak,
it comes to it.
if he shits the bed against the Raiders, like, we're not gonna play the Raiders. But if we, like, this week, you go into a big game and Dak lay an egg, you like, we not it. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the measuring stick. You're not. Some teams play up and down to their opponents. Some teams have injuries week to week. So a lot of things go into it. Football is a lot more intricate than I think the casual fan might really think about. But at the end of the day, the measuring stick is how do you look against teams that are going to be in the playoffs as well. That's what I want to see. Um, Not the other stuff. The little stuff is what it is. You might try some, but on the flip side of that, you talked about it a little bit. The Bengals, man, are the Bengals back? A big statement win over the Niners. This is the second week, or really the third week in a row now, that we are on here questioning what's going on with the San Francisco 49ers. So is it the Bengals are back? I mean, they look good. What, Chase had 100 yards, 10 catches. Joe Mixon had a great game on the run. I mean, on the ground. Niners just kind of Brock Purdy. I don't know. I know they don't got Debo. You know, I get it. You know, I know they missing some guys on the line. I get it. But like we said, with the measuring stick is good teams, and the Bengals are a good team, a team that they could very well see in the Super Bowl. Should it, should the cards run that way? But what's up with the Bengals, man? Are they back? And are the Niners cooked? Or are we still giving them some time?
Yeah, not only are the Bengals back, but I think you
You
can
can't
see it.
jump back. You can't jump back on the ship. So don't even think about it. Don't
Relax,
even.
relax. As you can see, though, Joe Burrow is back, and I think that's a big thing for the Bengals. He had 5 carries, 44 yards. Obviously, looked the most healthy that he's been this entire season. He had that QB scramble on 3rd and 10. I just think that's just not something we would see in the first couple of games of the season. So he just looked really sharp, 28 to 32. Really just picked the 49ers apart. After the game, he said, that this was his standard. And that's one of the reasons why I picked him to go to the Super Bowl, because, I know he could have big games like this when, he's clicking with Higgins and Chase. They're just a handful to stop. So, I think this is more so the Bengals kind of getting back to being the football team that a lot of people expected coming into the season. I think, for the 49ers, I'm not still like I said, I'm still not too worried about it, because at the end of the day, I think once we go into the playoffs, I think they'll still be looked at as, you know, right there, maybe not with Philadelphia, but it's probably going to be them too in the NFC Championship. I still think that's going to be the NFC Championship matchup, depending on how seasons, shake out. 'Cause, I think Seattle is actually, leading the division now. So, uh,
Mhm.
who knows? Maybe that's a divisional round matchup. So we'll see. But, I still think the 49ers, you didn't have Debo, you didn't have Trent Williams, those are big weapons. At the end of the day, Brock Purdy, that was only his 16th game. He was the last pick in the draft, for a reason. Obviously, he's looked a lot better than scouts, saw, but he's still a young quarterback that hasn't played a lot of football. So when you take away a couple of his weapons and his offensive linemen, of course he's not going to look the same. I think he's definitely putting the ball in danger. A lot more recently. Those back-to-back interceptions. He's got to clean those up, but I still think if they can run the ball, they weren't able to run the ball. They got behind early, and I pretty much put the game in Purdy's hands. And the 49ers are best when they can get ahead, they can run the ball, and they can get into their play action, off of those runs. So if they can get back to that, I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, and I mean, like we said on here last week, if you make him make plays, it gets a little bit harder for him. But I agree. My only thing is I just hope his confidence doesn't become shaken from that. 3-game losing streak. Obviously, they're well coached. They have a lot of
You know
better.
why? You know why they haven't won a game since they played the Cowboys, right?
Why is that?
It was Kittle's shirt.
He's
I was,
crazy.
I'm glad he wore that shirt.
They put a lot of stock into that game. I get that. But
That's what he.
what did they do today? They go out, trade a 3rd-round pick, and add Chase Young to the defensive front on the opposite side of the defensive player of the year, Nick Bosa. How does that change things now? I mean, does that push them? I mean, I know you said like the Eagles, and then they probably like right here, you know. Does
Yeah,
this I
I
know
mean,
Eagles
it
fans are
definitely helps.
sick right now. Eagles fans are sick right now. You saw the group chat earlier today. So, I mean, does it solidify them as the favorite out of NFC? Does it just make them a little bit better? Is it still like, I mean, they still got to score points? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to come down to how Purdy plays for them. Especially considering he was hurt last year in the NFC Championship. But you know, defensively, the last couple of weeks they haven't been as good as we expect as they were to start the year. I think Bosa is showing. Uh, him holding out is kind of having a little bit of effect on him. He just doesn't look as explosive, as he was last year. So it definitely helps. I think Chase Young, maybe the change of scenery, can help him. He was a great pass rusher, in college. He makes some plays, for the Commanders, but I don't think it really necessarily moves the needle, but it definitely helps. Pass rushers, are a commodity in the NFL, so the more the merrier. So going against great offensive lines, especially like the Eagles, Cowboys and Lions, you can never have too many pass rushers.
I mean, I agree with you there. I mean, it doesn't hurt you. You give them a third for it. They'll have to figure the money thing out next year. A lot of people going crazy about that, but as we know, like the cap has been manipulated so many crazy ways in the NFL in the last few years. They'll be fine. Chase Young to the Niners, man. We'll have to see how that helps Purdy and the boys. But we got another team out of the AFC that made a big statement, had a big statement win in what was our would have been game of the week. The Jacksonville Jaguars take down the Steelers, move on to 6-2, man. I mean, it's the Steelers. Much respect to them. Great organization, but we know they're not that great of a team at this moment offensively. Does this win over the Steelers, moving the Jags into 6-2? They're right up there with the Chiefs and with the Ravens, all those teams. Are they primed to make a deep run? Can the Jags actually be like a threat to come out of the AFC this year, or is it still just like it's the Jags?
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think they're a threat. They have been playing good football lately. I was a big concern at the start of the season. When they started off 1-2, they were struggling, but I thought I hit a home run on my overrated team. But they've been playing good 5 in a row. They did beat the Bills, albeit in London. It was a good win for them, but they were already in London for a week, so that neutral field. So that was kind of like, yeah, whatever. But everything else on their schedule, they beat the Colts twice. Um, they lost to the Texans. They had me thinking that the Texans maybe could have a chance to win the division. So they've had an easy schedule, to start. Struggled against the Chiefs. Their defense isn't that good, but they do get some timely turnovers. I don't think they have enough weapons necessarily when talk about going against the Mahomes and Josh Allen and Burrow. I don't think he necessarily has the weapons to compete with that kind of firepower. So maybe Trevor Lawrence takes another step and maybe surprises us in the playoffs. Like he did when he had that 28-point comeback against the Chargers. But I'm not buying into the Jags yet.
Yeah. I would if it wasn't for those guys you just said. At the end of the day, Pat Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen,
You can throw
Lamar
Tua in there too.
Tua. I mean,
Tyreek Hill and Waddle. I don't know if they got the weapons to keep up with them boys.
it's gonna be a gauntlet just to get through the AFC. It's nothing against the Jags. They're a great young team. They got, I mean, ETN looks great. Trevor Lawrence, I mean, he flashes how good he can be within spurts. I mean, the Calvin Ridley connection is something that they have to work on. I mean, Evan Ingram looks, way better than he did when he was with the Giants. And the defense, like you said, they make timely plays. But when you go on against guys and you think about the playoffs, where every single thing, like Pat Mahomes isn't going out there running around in circles and just throwing anything like he was against the Broncos. You know what I'm saying? In a playoff game. And I think it'll be hard for them to stop those teams with those top quarterbacks and with the veterans and with the playoff prowess that those teams have had. You got to think the Chiefs have been to the Super Bowl. The Bengals have been to Super Bowls. I mean, the Ravens have won lots of very meaningful football games with Lamar Jackson healthy. Tua and them, you add Jalen Ramsey. If Jalen Ramsey is going to be who he was this past week, if he can get back to being that all-pro corner, that changes their defense. And then you have to guard a guy that already has 1,000 yards through 8 games in Tyreek Hill. Then you got another guy that runs almost just as fast as Tyreek Hill on the other side, just as good of a receiver, just as technical. Then the schematics of the Dolphins make them a tough team to stop running the ball, even though like their running backs aren't amazing, but Mostert and Akane will be back soon. Like those are hard teams that you're gonna have to play to go to a Super Bowl. So I mean, I don't think they make a deep run just for that. If they win the division, they'll probably end up playing a Dolphins, like or the Bills or whoever comes in second out of that division. Or might even be the Ravens or the Bengals, whoever comes in second in that division. You gotta think like that's absurd. Just like that's just flat out absurd. And that's not easy to do. I mean, like I always say, much respect to Doug P and the boys, but that's just tough. If they was on the NFC side, it's like, okay, maybe, you can go spar with the Cowboys, see what you got, you know what I'm saying? You might get lucky against the Niners or something, The Lions really, like that still? Like I don't know. So AFC is full of some great teams, man. I'll be surprised if the AFC don't win the Super Bowl this year. I say my Ravens coming out, man. So we'll see though. We'll see.
I hope they do.
I hope they do. I sent it to y'all. It said on Twitter the four most likely Super Bowl matchups. One had the Ravens and the Eagles in there, and I said that. So hey, Chiefs knows, man. Appreciate you. Week 9, though, man, it's gonna be the most fun week yet in the NFL. We got some heavy hitters. We talking about heavy hitters. We just talked about how good teams play against good teams. Well, we got a lot of good teams playing good teams this week. We got Nell's Cowboys going against the Philadelphia Eagles. That's going to be something. We got the Dolphins playing the Chiefs. 9:30 game over, what is it, Germany? Germany game? I think it's Germany. Either way, 9:30 Sunday morning. We got the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen going against Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. Then we got the Seahawks, who are a tough team out of the NFC, going against the red-hot Baltimore Ravens. I mean, shoot, that's 4 really, really, really good games. A lot of great football for viewers, man. Starting with the Eagles and your Cowboys, Nell. How you previewing this one? What's the keys for the Cowboys to win this game?
Oh man, keys for the Cowboys to win. Whew. Offensive line gonna have to have their best game of the season. Defense gonna have to find a way to keep AJ Brown under 100 yards.
Oof, that's not gonna be easy.
It's 6 straight at 125. Tony Pollard gonna have to step up. Eagles been the best run defense in the league so far. Tony Pollard struggled the last 4 weeks. I don't know if it's because he that lead back now. He struggling with the workload, but only averaging like 40 yards a game the last 4 weeks. So he's going to have to step up and give Dak something to work with. We see what Dak can do when the defense and everyone's playing complementary football and they can jump out to a 33-3 lead. When he can play from ahead and throws don't necessarily matter as much. Like he had an interception at the goal line, but when you up 30, it doesn't matter as much as when you down 7 or only up 3. So everybody's gonna have to come to play, so it's not all on Dak's shoulders, but at the same time, Dak making all that money, it's a big divisional game on the road, you got to find a way to step up. So we'll see. I think the Eagles will win. I mean, they're the better team at home. But I'm rooting for my boys. We'll see. Gotta keep CD Lamb involved.
Yeah, I mean, y'all got him going. Y'all got him going this past.
Catches 158. Just got to keep feeding him. You like we talked about with AJ Brown. 6 straight games, 125 yards. They feeding him. Even when he's not open, he's open. And Hurts is finding a way to try to get his playmaker the ball. And I think Dallas needs to keep doing the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, Hurts is banged up. Y'all got Dak and CD got a chance to get that connection going. So hopefully y'all can take that on into this game. It's gonna be a big game, divisional game that always comes down to something. It's gonna be something that that we have to follow, that we got to keep up with. The Cowboys is a put up or shut up game in my eyes. We talked about how the good teams look against other good teams. Dak in his last game against the Niners, the last game against a really good team that's at the top of the division, didn't look great. So this is another opportunity for him, for y'all's overall team, Mike McCarthy, everybody to show that we're legitimately a contender. And so hopefully y'all get it done. Y'all got enough going. Deron Bland looks great That's my guy. I should have. I think I said him in my rookie preview. I feel like I
Three
did.
pick sixes.
Hey, he's a dog. So that's gonna be a fun one for sure, man. We got the Dolphins and the Chiefs. On the other side, Chiefs coming off of a bad loss, so we know how Pat Mahomes going, how he's gonna act. Hopefully he'll feel a little bit better from the flu. Dolphins, same way with the Cowboys, another opportunity to showcase how they look against a really, really good team. How do you think this one's gonna go now? What's the key for the Dolphins to pull this one off against Pat and the Chiefs?
Yeah, it's going to be a shootout in this one. Like you said, Chiefs offense was struggled last week. I think they'll come in this game. Try to be as sharp as possible, and I think they'll put up some points. At the end of the day, you got Mahomes, you got Kelsey, so you're going to put up numbers. And for the Dolphins, like we said, we've seen them play against two teams, albeit on the road, and this one, like you said, in Germany. Uh, so it's a neutral site, so we'll see how that affects them. But uh, like you said, like do you think Miami needs to win this game to make teams a believer?
I mean, I think they have to at this point. It's not even just for this year's sake, but I mean, looking back to last year, it was kind of the same thing. A lot of times, I mean, Tua was hurt last year a lot, but I think
Still got a home game against the Bills.
I mean, yeah, but how many of them, you don't get many opportunities to show, what you got against good teams. And if
Yeah.
you lose this one, then you got to go play the Bills. Granted, like that's a home game, but that's not going to be easy either. I mean, Josh Allen is trying to fight his way up to the MVP conversation. Some people have him firmly in it. Some people have him as the number one guy right now out of the MVP race. So it's just not easy. And like, I feel like for their sake, they need one, a confidence boosting one, and you can get one against the Chiefs. Sometimes, like we said, Pat, sometimes he has them games. I think the main thing is they gotta not let this game get too gimmicky because both teams have that, like, let's do some schoolyard gimmicky stuff and see if it stick. Like, and then they just have empty possessions. The Dolphins can't afford to do that and give Pat Mahomes extra opportunities to score. Pat Mahomes can't. You can't let Pat go out and do whatever he want to do, mess up, and then you give him the ball again. And that's the Dolphins have a tendency to have quick 3-and-out possessions when they start to do too much. If they can't run the ball, then they start doing motion and jet sweep different passes. Like that's a part of their offense, but like you just got to go in and you got Chris Jones is about to live in the backfield this game. You got to get the ball off, man. You can't do too much extra stuff. I mean, the Chiefs they had Tyreek Hill for years. So, I'm sure they'll do something to try to, slow him down. And on the flip side, I
Is,
mean,
it, is this his first game against the Chiefs?
that I don't know. I do not know. I don't know. I would probably say yes. I don't think I remember him playing last year.
Yeah, I
So,
don't think so.
I mean, shoot, and it's just Germany game. It's gonna be 9:30 in the morning. It's gonna be a hard game to play. No, 9:30 for us. So it's gonna be another, like, it's a lot of different elements and factors into it. Fortunately, you take the crowd out of it. You just have a lot of football fans or people that just live in Germany and want to watch some football, whatever. So I mean, it's really no excuse. So they gotta win this one, or at least if they don't win, it's got to be one of them like Pat Mahomes Tua Tagovailoa like shootouts. Pat win on his a final drive. It's like, okay, you know what, we can give them that. But if they go out there and they get embarrassed, I mean, I think the goose might be cooked on them boys. I might just go ahead and say I see y'all in the playoffs, but you better hope you play the Jags because you're not gonna beat nobody. So we'll see. We'll see how that one goes. That's another fun one, man. If for y'all on East Coast time, if y'all up at 9:30, tune in. West Coast, you up at 6:30. Good luck. If you're in the middle, it's probably like 8:30, 7:30. But early morning game, a lot of fun. We'll see. Hopefully, the travel and all that doesn't make it a snooze fest because I'll be up. Speaking of the Bills, going against the Bengals, like we said, what's the key for the Cincinnati Bengals to keep this streak going? I know for me, I think is you just got to keep giving that man that say he always opened the ball. I mean, that's the biggest thing that changed. I think you can't let Josh Allen be comfortable. I think that's something that the Buccaneers messed up on last week when they played. He was just too comfortable. But how do you feel? You think the Bengals can keep the streak going?
Yeah, you know what? Especially at home, I do. I think this would be a tough one for the Bills to drop, but um, I think the guy that we saw against the 49ers, Burr. I think that's the guy that we're gonna start seeing on a weekly basis. You know, I think that, like you said, him and Chase connecting, you keep feeding that man the ball. To, Bill's got a lot of injuries on defense. So if they can go in and they can connect, and I think if they can run the football, being at home, playing as good, they've got a lot of momentum right now. I think they'll keep riding that, and Burrow will keep connecting with his guys, and I think they'll pick up a big win, and teams will start putting them right back in the Super Bowl conversation, if they get a good win against the Bills.
Yeah, they win this one. I mean, I think they're firmly back in there. Them versus the Ravens, when that matchup happens, would be a really fun one. Um, I like the Bengals to continue to roll in this one as well. I think they're really settling in, and it's going to be hard to stop them, especially as long as Jamar Chase is able to get open and get 100 yards a game, 7 to 10 catches a game. Joe Mixon running the ball hard, and Burrow just making plays and also not making mistakes. I mean, that's a really good recipe for success to me. So our last one that we're looking at, we got the Seattle Seahawks, Mr. Geno Smith, going against Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. What do the Seahawks have to do to pull off this win over the Ravens? That they're on the streak. They've been finding ways to win games. They've won tough games. They've won games that they look terrible in, but ultimately, like we keep saying, Lamar just wins. So, what does Geno and the boys have to do, man?
Yeah, it should be a good one. Geno and Lamar, except we talked about Seahawks, surprisingly, now the number one team in the NFC West. They've been playing some good football. Lockett, has been, pretty good the last couple of games. Uh, you know, Geno, still, there's a lot of questions about him, but he's come back, and he's still, he's not looking like a fluke. So he's still got the Seahawks playing good football. It's always, and they just made move getting Leonard Williams, adding to that defensive line.
Mhm.
So they their secondary is pretty good. So that'll definitely be a good game. But Lamar, like you say, he's been on a roll. Not a lot of explosive plays with his legs against the Cardinals. Cardinals play, they've been playing feisty all season.
Yeah.
Cardinals give everyone a tough game. Uh, but I think Lamar and company make enough plays. At the end of the game, to get a win over Seattle.
Yeah, they're gonna keep rolling, man. That AFC North, man, is gonna be a grind. It's gonna come down to the end. That matchup. Do we know what week they play? The Ravens. I'm about to pull that up. I need to see when that Ravens Bengals matchup is. Ravens Bengals. Oh, wow, that's ugly. We get it in 3 weeks. They play on Thursday night. That's actually really ugly.
And state game.
Yeah, so the round two, round two Ravens Bengals will happen on a Thursday night. So we'll have to, we'll see that one in just a few short weeks. But I think, going into that, both teams are going to probably be right where they are. I don't see the Bengals lose. I mean, the Bengals got the Bills Sunday night. Following week, they got the Texans. Then they get the Ravens on the short week. So hey, the crash course is leading to that round two being a good one and a very meaningful game for the AFC North divisional lead. Hopefully the Ravens don't drop one before that, because hey, I'm trying to go see a playoff game in Baltimore this year, because my other team ain't gonna make it. So hey, it is what it is. So week 9, pick 'em, Nell. Last week,
I'm already looking at the schedule. Let me see.
last week I dropped one and a tough one. The Chiefs let me down. Nell got a win. He took the Dolphins. So I'm now 5-3. Nell is 6-2. I need to get a win, and I need Nell to get a loss. We're gonna look at the teams that each of us has picked so far. So Nell, you gone with the Commanders. You got the Colts already used, the Ravens used, your Cowboys used, you got the Lions, you use the Raiders, and you've also used the Dolphins. So you can't use any of them if you even remember the teams I just said, Nell, but you got a nice, I mean, I want to see you get a little, go ahead and take a little risk with this one, man. Go take a little risk. Don't play it safe. See what you can do. You got a game up lead on me. You can afford to drop one. Go ahead and I know that Dolphins Chiefs. I know you want to take the Chiefs. You said you want to use them. You can't use the Dolphins no more. Go ahead, use the Chiefs.
You know
Saints.
what? If I'm going to
Saints.
take an L, I want to do it in a way that would at least make me happy.
I know exactly what you're doing.
So I'm gonna take the Eagles,
I know exactly what you're
and
doing.
like if I'm wrong,
Hey, if you're wrong, you're
I'll be
right.
all right.
Hey, okay.
If I win, I advance through. Thank
Uh,
you.
that's tough. That's a tough one.
Yeah,
I like that. I like that, man.
I'm leaving with something. You feel me?
You happy either way, man. I don't know. I think I've used, let's see, the Jags, I've used the Bills, Niners, Vikings, Texans, Dolphins, Bucks, and Chiefs. Woo! I don't want to do this, but I feel like I have to. I'm gonna take the Aints over the Bears.
We're okay.
The Aints, man. And if
Last
the
time I tried to pick a team over the Bears, it ain't end too well.
I
So
know, but hey, I'm
good
doing
luck to you.
something. Look, if the Saints lose to the Bears, James is probably gonna be the starter. That bodes well for my team. You see?
Yeah, yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. So that's hey, we're gonna write that one in, man. Saints over Bears. I hope Justin Fields ain't back because that might make that a little more shaky for me. But even if he is, man, whatever. That's we rocking steady,
Yeah,
man.
stand on it.
Hey, I'm trying to get big comeback for me, 6-3 after this week, man. But that's it for us, man. Nell, you got anything that you want to lead the people with today?
Man, go Sixers. That's all.
All right, you heard it. Go Sixers.
Go Cowboys.
I'm not gonna say both of them. That's like
Nah,
that's
go ahead. We
go.
2 for 2 on that.
We ain't been 2 for 2 in a little minute, buddy. You ain't been. We're gonna be 2 for 2 when the Knicks and Sixers play. We're gonna have a live stream of
At
yo
the game.
at. Oh, I'm not coming.
Oh man.
Tickets. Hey, man, go ahead, donate donations, man.
Donate. Get keys to the Sixers
Hey,
next game.
get me to the Sixers Knicks game down in Philly with Nell, man. If y'all want to see that, donate. Serious. But anyway, man, that like I said, that's gonna wrap it up for us, man. Season 3, episode 13 in the books. The NBA getting going. We in our second week of the NBA officially. NFL is officially in the middle of the season. So we're gonna really start finding out who teams are towards this last stretch. So hopefully everybody stays healthy. Truly, I'm wishing luck to Nell's Cowboys this week against the Eagles. I ain't gonna lie, man. I just want the Eagles fans to leave me alone. Or just leave everybody alone for a little bit. They just need something to just calm them down. I'm hoping for Baker Mayfield to bounce back before he lose his job, and then I have to stop watching because I will not watch Kyle Trask play quarterback. But go Ravens, man. So that'll do it. As always, follow us, Instagram, Twitter, subscribe to the YouTube if you like watching us on the YouTube channel. Get the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, all of that. TikTok, man. We got it all. 2 for 2 is out there. Just look up 2 for 2 Pod. You'll find us wherever you need to find us. Always subscribe, as always, share, interact, comment, hit us up. If you want to tell Nell his picks of trash, text Nell and tell him his picks of trash.
Sorry, y'all.
But Nelly's numbers will be back soon. Keith's takes will be back soon. We just got to see how everything rolling through with the NBA season before we get there. We're gonna give y'all some Christmas. I know y'all need that Christmas money from Nell. So with that, man, that's gonna do it for 2 for 2 today. As always, we love y'all. We appreciate it. We out.